General Bolden, the acronym NASA stands for the, quote, National Aeronautics and Space Administration, end quote. I underscore the words aeronautics and space. Yet each year, almost $2 billion of NASA funding is diverted from aeronautics and space to earth sciences, i.e. global warming and climate change and similar initiatives. To the extent America wishes to spend taxpayer money on global warming and climate change, I'd submit these programs should be paid for out of the Environmental Protection Agency's budget, not America's aeronautics and space budgets. General Bolden, given a choice between adequately funding NASA's aeronautics and space efforts, such as the Space Launch System, the various telescopes, planetary sciences, and things of that nature, so that America's space program is no longer reduced to hitching a ride from Russia to get to the space station, and diverting NASA funding to the study of the Earth's environment, a subject I submit is better suited to the Environmental Protection Agency. What is your preference and why?
Congressman Brooks, the NASA, since its inception, has had responsibility for exploring the universe and helping us understand it better, and also taking care of this planet, which I think, it happens to be my favorite planet. If I followed the logic that you just presented, since science is missing from the acronym, and people have suggested that NASA drop science from its programs because it's not in the acronym. However, that would be absurd to do that. NASA is eminently responsible for science, and we provide 4 areas of science, or science, astrophysics, planetary science, and heliophysics. And that is our portfolio, and we cover that adequately with the funds that we are given. We are able to do things. We provide instruments and satellites that are used by other operational agencies. We don't do weather forecasting. We don't do operational science.
I understand that. If I could please interject for a moment. My question is one of choice. Do you want aeronautics and space money, NASA money, going to aeronautics and space? Are you comfortable with a diversion of about $2 billion a year to global warming, climate change initiatives, which in my judgment should be funded by the Environmental Protection Agency, thereby freeing up that $2 billion for aeronautics and space?
Congressman, my choice is to distribute the money in the best way that we feel possible to cover our portfolio, because we do feel that science, aeronautics, human exploration, and technology development are critical missions or critical functions that NASA has to do. We don't divert money from science for human exploration. We don't divert money from human exploration for science. We present what we think is a logical budget that will enable us to achieve all of our missions in a time that we lay out in those budgets, and I think we're doing that very well.
Well, General Bolden, if I might continue, in my opinion, based upon what I have seen since the cancellation of the shuttle program, since America has been reduced to hitching a ride from the Russians for our astronauts, America is losing ground and could arguably no longer be the preeminent space program, which was a position we've held since the 1960s. Given this choice, if Congress were to shift NASA Earth Sciences funding, roughly $2 billion a year, to restoring America's preeminence in space and requiring that global warming and climate change study be paid out of the Environmental Protection Agency's existing budget, so that you still have that kind of earth science being funded, but out of the Environmental Protection Agency, which seems to be a more logical agency since we're talking about the environment, would you support that shift of $2 billion a year to NASA's aeronautics and space programs, with the understanding that the EPA would be doing the environmental work on global warming and climate change?
Mr. Chairman, there is only one agency that sends people to space, as you all have said. That's NASA. Right now, there is a preeminent agency that provides the instrumentation that gathers the data to do the work of EPA and NOAA and others that you say. if we stop doing that, there is no other agency that does it. The reason that our earth science
Well, now, wait a
budget had
second.
an increase this year was because we build satellites for NOAA.
There's nothing that would stop the EPA out of their budget from hiring NASA to put those satellites up there, is there?
That's what we do right now. So
Well-
why do it and pretend we're not doing
But
it?
right now, it's cutting into the space program, I would submit, and as a consequence, I think you've got a very good argument out there that America is losing ground, and the highest ground in that space. And we're doing it because aeronautics and space has not been adequately funded over the years.
Congressman,
Now, I'm trying to figure out a way to improve funding for aeronautics and space, and if I understand correctly, here you are, the NASA administrator, and you're saying, no, we don't want that $2 billion for aeronautics and space, and we don't want the Environmental Protection Agency to take over an environmental issue, which would be global warming and climate change initiatives. Am I erring in my interpretation of your remarks?
Congressman Brooks, if you're saying that I disagree that we should take the money that NASA has in earth science and shift it to aeronautics and space, you're absolutely right. I disagree. I think that the balance of funds that NASA has today in our science, human exploration, aeronautics, and space technology portfolios is about right. And I believe that if this the other thing is, I am really sorry that you don't believe that we are the preeminent agency in the world for exploration in space. I just came back from the Space Symposium, and there is no one out there who agrees with anyone who has that low opinion of NASA and the United States. We are the preeminent leader in the world, always have been, always will be.
Well, let me break it down. When it comes to human spaceflight, we are no longer the preeminent country in space. When it comes to non-human space endeavors, I think you can make an argument that America still has preeminence. But when you put the two together, and when Russia is reducing the United States of America to saying if we want to go to their space station, we can do it via trampoline, that's not the kind of preeminence that at least I'm accustomed to, having seen the Saturn V rocket built, researched, and developed in the 5th Congressional District of Alabama.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.